Day 27. We're at day 27. My God. This is The Perfect Business. It's a micro podcast. Try to remain under 15 minutes. I'm your host, Jason Grant. And what we're doing is we're explaining how to build the perfect business using all the automated technologies from scratch. Like all of it. What I want to talk about today in, hopefully under 15 minutes. That's never the case if I get really into it. But I think today I'm on fire today. Today's been a good day because I'm getting close to, getting on a plane. So I'm excited. And also this whole journey, this 30-day journey it's been enlightening for me because I'm starting to engage the social platforms again, but better. Because the agency that we recommend for LinkedIn has become kind of my center of existence right now. I'm really focused on how LinkedIn works. I'm not really focusing on how a lot of the other platforms work. I'll leave that to the other agents, okay? The reason for that is because of how many followers my account has on LinkedIn because of just time and how I've used LinkedIn in the past, but never perfected it. That's a different podcast. That's probably what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. What I want to talk about today, day 27, is my protocol. How I view my interaction with the automated method. Okay? So that's today is day 27 of 30. 30 being, we're out of here. Okay? Family's going to Costa Rica. Costa. Oh, God. I actually did look up the pronunciation. Costa Rica. Which is interesting because it is an expat destination. So I've been to, Alyssa and I have been to all of the ones that are in the top, kind of. We haven't been to Thailand, but we did go to Bali. We have been to Tulum. What I'm meaning by the expat destinations is where a lot of startup culture is and remote work started in a way, right? Where people go and it's just computers all over the place, open on the beach, and it's usually the economy is different, the dollar is different where you are, but not necessarily because a lot of these places are turning into that whole influx of expats has changed the value and the culture of certain places, right? But it is interesting to see because when you're in this business like I am, I want to know how everybody uses technology when they travel and when they're remote. And since I've been doing this for a long time, it's a no-brainer going to Costa Rica. It's on that list, right? It's a hot spot for expats for a lot of reasons. Anyway, so day 27, my protocol, right? Jason's protocol. With the automated method. How do I work on the business, interact with the business, and not be in the business per se? It's a very, very touchy subject sometimes because people that know me know that there are certain times that I'm interacting with the business, maybe as an operator, but not very often. Not very often. It's because I'm so fast because the system's so perfect that these things that require my attention are not even close to the amount of attention that you might have to spend on trivial stuff inside your business. But that's because I've created firewalls and flows, human personal firewall, cloud workflow firewalls of using automated technologies at the most possible, actually before the automated method was built. That's where I got the idea. One of the reasons I got that idea was I started looking at how the technologies are keeping me away from things I don't want to do in any business that I own, right? And it's just a matter of just looking at it all logically, looking at the operations logically, looking at everything high level, top down, playing the Sims with yourself, figuring out what you do, and figuring out how it all works. So first things first, application of choice that I spend, a lot of time making sure that it's perfect is Calendly. Calendly has all the calendars in my life connected to it, all of them. And because that platform is so amazing, I can make sure that it's all my time is layered, and it doesn't matter if I'm doing anything with, the family or anything with whatever, it's all the same. This work-life balance is really taken care of by Calendly. And so at the end of the day, that's one of the things that I brush, I literally kind of engage to make sure that I know what's happening the next day. But I'm managing my expectations and adjusting settings if needed in Calendly for my day and my life. That's how it works. All right? But it's brief. It's brief because I know the platform, I know the app on my iPhone. It's just brief. I don't need to engage it any longer than I have to. That's why I make sure that that's clean going into the next day. That's one thing that I do, okay? Number 2, I try to keep Slack as organized as possible. And on the phone that Slack is checked, where Slack is engaged on, because see, the 2 phone idea, yes, I have 2 iPhones, 2 different SIM cards, 2 different cell phone plans. But the thing is, it's more for testing than anything. But at the same time, I do not use certain applications on the phones. I don't need to. Say, for example, email. Email is not, the business emails are not on any of the phones. How do you do that, Jason? Well, how do you not do that knowing what I know? I have so many, my email accounts are forwarded properly. The channels are activated properly. They go to what they're supposed to do. Does Slack get notified with things? Does it get filtered? Does it apply logic? Does it watch the emails and does it apply logic? Yes, of course it does, because you can and I have. So Jason @ is a bot. I've said it a million times. Yes, I can reply from an application SaaS platform choosing that as my from address. Of course I can. Right? But it's not an urgent email. It's channel-based communication for people that, need to use email for communication. That's what it is. Anyway, so the whole idea of the 2 phones is fantastic. But like I said, the automated method does have me showing business owners a lot of things. So I have to kind of have for testing and diagnostics, and it's basically advertising. It's operational advertising is what we're doing right now, because I'm just, like I said, under the hood. So my protocol is keep Slack clean, make sure all the notifications are perfect on the phone. They always are. D&D's on all the time. I've got everything blacklisted and whitelisted properly. Everything is so that it's channeled, and I have a firewall from the minutia. And it's escalated through systems so that it only engages me when necessary, when I'm, ready. Managing expectations 101. It really takes away a lot of the stress because you have so much automation around you personally that's just doing things with the outside world automatically. It frees you. As a human being, it frees you. And this doesn't just have to be for owners out there. It could be for members of a team, because you just got to investigate your relationship with the technologies and turn on anything that'll make it easier for you to be in a flow state, in deep work, whatever, so that your job is easier. But the digital leadership is the owner of the business, or the person that's, implementing these, the decision maker implementing these technologies or making them accessible to you and your team, knows that they're doing it for you. So I'm being selfish and using it all for me, but you learn everything because of that. That's what I guess, that's the moral of this story. I learned everything that the automated method uses because I wanted to create this labyrinth of awesomeness to collect information, properly treat information, with the outside world and the inside world, and then me. And does it involve live chat? Sure. Does it involve email ticketing systems? Yes, it does. Does it involve auto filtration? Yes, it does. Does it involve everything? Yes, it does. It's all there. It's expensive. Not really, but it's like I look at it as the cloud stack that Jason uses, the stuff that maybe isn't fully for the automated method, maybe it's just for me. It's a lot of cloud products, but it's like $5, $10 here, $5, $10 here a month. It's well worth it. I can go, anybody email start@theautomatedmethod.com. Anybody go to schedule.theautomatedmethod.com, which is the Calendly that I was just talking about. It's like, go there. We could talk about it. I'll tell you what they all are and how they all work. There's some really interesting, obscure things in there that I'm not going to, because I don't want to go over 15 minutes here, but there's a lot of cool filters that I think people aren't aware of. And there's a lot of things in Slack, like I mentioned before, that people aren't aware of. But like I said, you create this like stack for yourself, your personal protocol stack, and you also have a protocol with your team, right? And you also have, because you have the perfect business, they're already amazing because they want to work for you because you have the perfect business. Also working for that institution, and the modern proficiency of everybody is probably 8 and above, right? And out of a scale of 10, if that's what you want to call it. And also there's a communication protocol with the team and the executive, which is you, right? If you're a founder or you're the owner, you're no longer the owner operator. And it's because you've implemented that whole, where's your nucleus? Look at the dashboards, check first, ask only if you have to. You'd be surprised at how little they need to engage you, which is great because you're not a micromanager anymore. You don't need to be in the email thread. Oh yeah, just put me in the email thread. You're not. The inundation of emails that you get probably by thinking that if just by reading them, everything's going to be okay. Like, come on. That's when I step in and I'm like, do you know what year it is? Do you know how long a lot of these technologies that are for you have been around and you just haven't wanted to learn how they work or what they're for because it's just not your forte or you don't care? It should be. Telling you, man, time is the most precious resource, and the perfect business gives you time. And you're not letting your business or your team down. You're not. You can't. Because it's just thinking it through. What I suggest a lot of business owners do is when they contact the automated method, I put them in touch with someone who can help them. We have a business-to-business partnership with a company that helps you with process management and process design. You can do that process design for your personal protocol interacting with the business. So even if you went that route, your entry point was the process for you, well, you're going to need a lot of this tech anyway. I just did technology. So it's like any of the entry points in this whole scope will influence the same outcomes in a way. Because if you're going to use Calendly, you might as well use Calendly for Teams. You see what I mean? It's like every step of the way, it's all connected. So if you go through your personal process trying to remove yourself from the business, maybe in an exit strategy, well, guess what? You're probably cleaning up your Franken system along the way at that entry point because you're going to have to move over to these new technologies and platforms and these SaaS services anyway. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I look at this. I look at it as the executive, the team, and then you got your ecosystem. And you got to make sure that you know how all this works so that you can turn it all on for you, right? Like this is the perfect business. And now that I'm on day 27, and I've told you about all these things in brevity, you could probably listen to these podcasts in a row and get somewhere, right? Get somewhere. I really think another takeaway that it's a common article that I always find comes up in my feed or Google is like, watch. This is good. This is a good, maybe this will be the straw that breaks the camel's back for you, as they say. The iPhone, the operating system, Whether it be things like screen time or even the new do not disturb features, it's life-work balancing operating system. It's the features in the operating system are advancing to be like to balance your relationship with your phone and maybe even work-life balance through your phone. The core operating system. This isn't even anything other than the core operating system on these devices. What I'm getting at is that they understand that you're probably inundated. You can't get into a flow state, and you're not able to do deep. You don't know any of this stuff, so they've built it into the OS to help. So what I say is, if that's the case, then that's a standard. So the operating system manufacturer, say it's Apple, has recognized that there's a problem, and they want to fix it from the operating system's level up. You see? Even Windows does stuff like that now. I love how I pointed to my MacBook Air, and I'm like, Windows! But you see what I'm getting at? So like that's a really interesting thing to me, that we're there now, and the norm is the operating system features. We haven't even gone into like anything else. It's just the settings on the phone are advanced now to where I had to do some things differently because I was ahead of the curve. Now the operating system on the phone does it. So I'm like, wow, that's where we are. So I don't need this, I don't need that, I don't need this, I'll just do this. You see? That's wild to me. That's like a wild point in time where it's like the core stuff that's features that are built in are now normal. So, adding all this other stuff is just better normal. And it makes it easier for you to, work on the business, as they say. I was going to get into more how my day works, but you can imagine that I want to only be engaged when I have to be. And I also want to make sure I manage my expectations, because I love where my energy flow is when it comes to what it is that I'm doing. If I'm influencing decisions, if it's the design process, it's just me. It's probably me and the team, but it's like more of brainstorming, some blue sky in there, but it's brainstorming, which is fun, whether it be through Zoom or Slack, whatever. The next thing is maybe it's a new customer, new client, new member, which is like we call the candidate for the formula. And I'm communicating with them for the first time through a Calendly invite through Zoom or Google Meet, or maybe just even like a phone call, whatever. Whatever that is, I know what to expect, and so it's in my Calendly, and I know my bandwidth, and I'm not doing like 1,000 a day, so it's totally doable. And I'm also looking at right now, here's me being super forward, replicating. That's why I'm doing these videos, because eventually I can have a channel where I'm replicating everything that I say, and that's the way you scale. Right? That's the way I scale, is because it's all video based. It's all in a database. It's all automated. And then therefore it's like the communication for the service offering, the automated method, is a household name now. And so the communication is like, you want to get in the formula. So you email start@theautomatedmethod.com. You see how this works? It's awesome, man. This is the perfect business.